guys, I'm Tiffany. Welcome to the Cinematic Reviewer. Today I'm talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. So obviously this is pretty much the biggest movie of the year. It hasn't beaten out Inside Out 2 yet, but obviously it's been about 2 weeks since the movie came out and it's doing great, surpassing so many records, and I know so many Marvel fans absolutely love this movie. Have gone to see it so many times, 2, 3, 5 times. I gotta be honest, I've very much enjoyed the MCU. I very much enjoyed Deadpool too, I have obviously this shirt, a Deadpool plushie, and Deadpool 2, the super duper cut, as well as a Deadpool keychain. But I gotta be real, this movie did not hit for me. And the reason that I said in my Inside Out 2 movie review that that was my most anticipated movie rather than this one is I was a little like, sometimes Deadpool doesn't really work for me. Like, I really thought, hey, Hugh Jackman is back as Wolverine, he could make the movie great, he could, win it over for me. I unfortunately was pretty disappointed. It is one of those things of, it disappointed me. I wasn't angry or, it wasn't difficult for me to be in the theater, but it wasn't a winner for me. It definitely was one of those movies of, I'm here, and that's about it. The way I feel about it, it had a couple jokes that were pretty decent, but that's about it. I did not feel like this one was like, 10 out of 10, amazing movie, super fun movie, a movie to just shut your brain off and have fun. Like, even for that aspect, to me, it just wasn't that type of movie. And to just get into the cameos, I felt that even Deadpool was not even as enthusiastic or excited about the cameos like how he was in Deadpool 2 with Juggernaut. Like, his enthusiasm, his excitable energy about seeing Juggernaut, the fact that he was there and everything, that energy was so high. And what we get here is a little bit like, yeah, you get cameos now because this is the multiverse, and it's like, okay. It was not one of those where it's like, yay! I know plenty of people, like I've seen some of those audience reaction videos that people are so excited. They're screaming, they're hollering, they're super excited about seeing these cameos in this movie. But I did go opening weekend, and there were so many Marvel fans, Marvel pajamas, all sorts of Marvel merch, gear. People were super passionate about that stuff, enough so that they dressed up for it. But the jokes in this movie, almost no one was laughing. And it was very rare that you would hear anyone uttering anything. And I can say that with certainty because unfortunately my theater experience wasn't that great, because I don't know what it was about this theater specifically, but they did not have the volume up enough. Like, they start the movie off and we get that awesome MCU theme and everything, and all I'm really hearing is people munching on their popcorn. Like, you could hear a pin drop. It just was not that loud enough. So my point being that it's not just me. There were so many people, like, we had a packed theater and people were not really about it. Like, yeah, they laughed at the part where, they're in the void and 20th Century Fox, its sign is, to the side. And it's like, yeah, like, people weren't all enthusiastic about these cameos. And I gotta say, I'll probably go ahead and put the picture here, but that whole thing with the cameos where everyone's teamed up, way further into the movie, it's not that exciting. It's not that interesting. Like, there are certain cameos that can be great and awesome and, like, top tier. I feel like we're at C tier or something, or D tier. It's not really strong or anything. And the one thing, and I do agree with what some other reviewer said, that it's like, we had this more condensed story with Deadpool 1 and 2, And with Deadpool 3, first off, like, there's so many things about it. You know, you have to get into the MCU, you have to get into the multiverse, and also it has to be, you know, a universal threat versus something a little bit more, you know, standard in a single movie. And the fact that you do have such a budget now because Marvel Studios is doing it rather than Fox, and it's like, you have the chance to do plenty of good cameos. And I'm not saying the cameos were bad. I do understand what people were saying, that like 3 or 4 of the characters getting their proper ending was a good thing. Like, I definitely get that. But I really wanted it to be Deadpool and Wolverine. That's the kind of movie I was looking for. I very much wanted it to be, you know, them going on an adventure together. And I really don't feel like that's what happened. And yes, technically it was. They did go on an adventure together. But I just wanted it more singularly focused on them. I'm not saying, like, you know, we could have done many things. I know plenty of people had like predictions of they were going to bounce from universe to universe, and that didn't really happen. It's just, I feel like the Void was very boring. Also, I did not come here for Mad Max Fury Road, and you can't come and tell me that I'm being wrong because Deadpool himself made the joke about it. I'm just like, you know, the second that their you know, vehicles are coming for Deadpool and Wolverine and everything, it's like, ugh, here we go. And it's just Cassandra Nova. She's not very interesting. I mean, she's definitely, super bad guy. Like, how are you supposed to beat her and everything? I'm still trying to figure out exactly how they were able to beat her. It's a little bit of one of those, you know, movies gotta end and good guys gotta win, and that's kind of it. But I will say, there were still some very funny moments. Like after Deadpool uses Nice Pool as a human shield from all the other Deadpools, and just Wolverine, you know, picks up the dog and just walks over casually. Like, that was very funny. Like, they did have some good humor. It's just a little bit, I was waiting for it, and it's more, hey, here's a little joke, you know, within the runtime. It's more, it comes in intervals versus packing the punch of good, great humor. Now, with Elektra being back, it really did make me think about that, because I did watch Daredevil as a kid, and it was one of those where it's like, why would you just kill off, you know, the female main character? And then it got me to thinking about the fact of what happened with Black Widow. Why is it with 2 of these Marvel, you know, female heroes, you kill them off in a separate movie, and it's only after that that you give them their solo movie? And, you know, I personally did not watch Elektra, but I did hear that it didn't do well. And Black Widow, obviously it had, you know, its own issues with the fact of COVID was still happening and, you know, not as many people were going to the theaters, but also the movie was not very strong. It was definitely not a strong movie. And it's like, yeah, we definitely could have had a better chance much earlier. Like, hey, there's plenty of negatives to say about DC, but the fact that they did a great female-led superhero movie, yeah, they definitely beat Marvel on that one. Pardon if on the off chance that you guys can hear in the audio, there is a lawnmower going on, so sorry about that. Now, I do want to say, I did not mean for this movie to come out so late, but the past few weeks have been a bit of an era of misery. If explained by a Deadpool clip, I'm in such pain. So, you know, it started off pretty decently, the movie did. You know, obviously we get the opening credits, and then the movie starts. And yeah, that was a great opening sequence. I had bye bye bye, you know, stuck in my head for quite a while. But I have to be honest, I was waiting for the text to have some funny parts, like how it was in Deadpool 1 and 2. I just thought it was a little basic, just written by, directed by, produced by, blah, blah, blah. It's just a little like, but you guys did such a fun time in the past. Now, of all the cameos, the one that I wasn't too aware of was Blade, because I've never seen Blade, but I definitely do want to check it out. So I did get it from the library, and I'm actually supposed to be watching Blade later today, so I might end up going ahead and giving a little movie review after this one. I'm hoping it's a good movie. I have never seen it before, and I hope, if the first one's good, maybe I'll watch the second and third. Now, here is a complaint that I have not even seen a single person have. Where was Joe Pinter? In this one, we're having the sidekick be Peter, and that's fine. It's just, he was really good. He was a sweet guy, but, definitely had, that little, saltiness to him, which was pretty funny. And just Peter's kind of yeah, he's there. It was a good running joke in Deadpool 2. I just didn't feel like it was all that necessary. But then, we get to after that whole bus incident and everything, and then all the Deadpools regenerate, and then Peter shows up, and then, one of the Deadpools is like, oh, every Deadpool has a Peter, and then, Deadpool does a Peter joke, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's why, and it's just, that's the thing. The thing about Deadpool is probably gonna offend some people. Try your best not to get offended. He does low-hanging fruit humor. It's not intelligent humor. It's just very basic stuff. I went and saw the movie with my dad, and he's like, this sort of stuff is very much teenage boy humor, and I know that because I was a teenage boy. And I let him know about that one joke, if you guys have watched the Deadpool Honors trailer, where it's like, oh, the movie have to be 17 to see, but 16 to fully appreciate. And it's yeah, that kind of humor obviously exists with, plenty of guys that are grown. But it is a little I just feel you got multiple writers, you got adults here. Better jokes could have been nice. Speaking of writers, there were way too many writers for this movie. The fact that they kind of show you it in the opening sequence, 5 writers? I mean, come on, guys. That's one of those, if the movie was bad, everyone would blame, hey, you got too many writers. But because they liked the movie, it's a little oh, ignore that. Because, come on, 5 writers, have a team of maybe 2 or 3, and that's it. That's just too many. And I would say that's part of why the movie wasn't as good as it could have been. Too many heads in the room, too many cooks in the kitchen. I just feel there could have been some better humor. And I have to be honest, the anticipation for this movie was a million times better than the movie itself. I absolutely loved the trailer. The first trailer that came out, for the Super Bowl and everything, I watched that trailer so many times. The music choice they had picked was absolutely amazing. I added it to my playlist. I listened to that song over and over. It was just a really great, excellent trailer. It definitely had me super excited about the movie. And I have to be honest, I think if they just had that as the promo, it would have been perfectly fine. We didn't have to see some of these cameos. We didn't have to see more of these jokes. It would have been kind of nice to go in more blind to it. And then also, a lot of this Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman promoting the movie, just before the movie came out and everything, all the, places they did, BuzzFeed, Hot Ones, things like that. It was just so much more interesting, and just Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, their natural dynamic together was really nice to see. And I have to be real. In the movie, Deadpool and Wolverine's dynamic, I didn't get that same vibe, which kind of disappointed me. I was definitely looking for more of that kind of energy, and I didn't feel it. So yeah, the behind the scenes for Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman was a million times better than the movie itself. I was a little like, I'm really happy that you guys wanted to make this movie and you did make it. That's great. And it wasn't for me. The one thing that I was very surprised by, and like it's something that kind of was just very present in my mind while I was watching the movie. I really felt like the blood and carnage in this movie like just brought it to the next level. Like it was like, am I really watching a Marvel movie, an MCU movie, a Deadpool movie? Like I felt like I was watching The Boys. Like the level of the blood and carnage was like out of control. It was like pretty insane. Like, you know, all this stuff, especially at that opening sequence, you know, which was, you know, like I said, it was a good opening sequence, but it was pretty crazy to just start the movie off like that. It's like, whoa, like this is like some brutal deaths happening right now. And then of course, Johnny Storm, his death, it's like, dude, like that was insane. Cassandra Nova just takes his skin and then, you know, everything just falls to the ground. It's like, dude, this is brutal. Like, you know, nothing in like a, oh, I'm freaked out, I'm grossed out, that sort of thing. Just in like, dude, this is like next level type, and I just didn't expect it. Because like, if this was like brand new, never heard of Deadpool before, never seen Deadpool before, it'd be a little different. But I feel like I had a certain, like, there's kind of like expectations that you kind of have based on what you've seen before. And with Deadpool 1 and 2, sure, yeah, you got plenty of blood and whatever else, but this was like, it took the cake. Like it just brought it up, ramped it up. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, I'm just saying in general, it just was a little bit less than expected. And speaking of Johnny Storm, the fact that Chris Evans is back, I feel like we kind of did this already.
You already did me.
That's what she said.
The fact that in Free Guy, which Shawn Levy had done and obviously Ryan Reynolds starred in, it's just like Chris Evans cameo. Oh, there you go. And I feel like also that is something that some of these cameos, it's just the cameos now, it's expected. You know what's coming versus it's kind of like, oh, who knew he was going to be here? Like that was pretty cool. It was like, oh, you know, didn't expect that at all. But then with this one, it's like, no, it was definitely cool because I did watch the Fantastic Four movies, and definitely Johnny Storm was definitely my favorite character of the characters in those movies because he was dynamic, fun, silly, you know, more youthful, and everyone else was so serious. And it's like, yeah, that kind of energy you prefer. And I'll be real, I do prefer him in that role versus Captain America. Captain America is too serious. I never really liked him. Obviously, Captain America, Winter Soldier, great, awesome movie. But just in general, Captain America is not my kind of character. So all my point is, there are cameos that are like surprising, which can be really fun. But then the ones where it's like, you kind of already did this already, I'm a little like, eh, okay. Now, I have not actually watched X-Men as in the animated stuff. I have not read the comics at all. I am very much a movie watcher. That's about it. I have not, you know, checked out any Marvel comics, so I am not familiar. But I am aware that, you know, in the comics that Wolverine has the mask. And I know, you know, because I have seen all the X-Men movies, I do know that Wolverine never wore the mask, never wore the suit, so, you know, it was kind of a big deal. And then, yeah, when we get to that part where he finally puts it on, I mean, that, like, how they do it, you know, you have the music playing, and then it kind of, you know, dramatic moment, and music kind of slows down, and you get that, you know, that little sound effect there, and it's, like, so good, and it's like, dude, he looked great. He looked great in that mask. It's really, really good. I'll be honest though, I do prefer kind of to see Hugh Jackman's face. Sometimes I'm a little like, is that even him? At times, like obviously it's kind of standard for Deadpool to wear his mask, but then, you know, having it with Wolverine, obviously it was way later into the movie, but I was a little like, okay, you can take it off now. You know, get yourself back to standard Hugh Jackman, you know, glory and all that. And speaking of, you know, that particular scene, what I did really appreciate about some of these scenes like that, where, you know, they're encountering all the Deadpools and so they have to fight and everything, the fact that they actually had that song playing, Madonna's song playing, like they did in the trailer was really nice. Because it can be a bummer where you're kind of, now you got used to the music, but then it's totally different in the movie, so it's kind of nice that it just stayed together like that. But they definitely did good with incorporating music, song choice, that sort of thing. Because when they go ahead and confront Cassandra Nova, and, you know, you don't know that Wolverine's gonna be there, X-23 obviously talks to him and everything. But then the music's kind of going, and then it gets out of the car, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing! Like that, like I was actually kind of, bouncing around in my seat. I was so excited. Like, dude, Hugh Jackman, he's so great. He's so great. But again, it's a movie that I was not very much about. Now, I do feel like, because I saw this movie on July 28th, and today, what day is today? Today is August 10th. And I feel like now it's been a fair number of days since then, and I kind of feel like it's now been a little bit going away from my mind, so I wouldn't be opposed to watching it again, but I don't think I'd pay to watch it again. Like, when it comes out on streaming, maybe they'll give it another chance. But I will say, I did, because of the fact that this movie was coming out, I did watch the first Deadpool right away after I saw the, trailer from the Super Bowl. And actually, I had more appreciation for the first Deadpool movie, because I've never really been about that movie. It was a couple years after the movie came out that I was allowed to watch it. And it was not as great as I thought it was going to be. It didn't exactly work for me. But then when Deadpool 2 came out, I was able to see it, so I went and saw it with my friends in the theater, and I absolutely loved the movie. And then watching it back a couple times, with my Blu-ray, I was like, maybe I only liked it the one time or with friends. And yeah, like, I was going to watch it right away, and I couldn't for the life of me finish the movie. So then, the day before Deadpool and Wolverine, the day before I went and saw the movie, I finally finished it, and I'm like, yeah, there's something about it, like, the coloring is super gray, the tone is super, I want, high energy colors, pow, fun, and that movie didn't really have that. I'm not saying, obviously I enjoyed it once before, but, it's just, my tastes are kind of different. But in general, I would say Deadpool's not really my thing, but I have very much enjoyed Wolverine, especially Hugh Jackman's, portrayal of Wolverine. And definitely, watching this movie, it is a little bit of like, maybe I could watch the, all the X-Men movies again. The only one I have not watched is actually Logan. It's just one of those where it's like, yeah, this is his retirement to the character, he's gonna die. And it's like, dude, he's like one of my favorite characters. I don't want to see him die. And the fact that he came back, for this movie, and it sounds like he's gonna stick around in the MCU, I am all for it. I don't like when, characters I really like die. It's like, no thanks. It was funny though, the fact that the guy Paradox, now I did watch a little bit of Loki. I'm pretty sure I watched all of season 1, pretty sure. But I didn't watch any of season 2, so I don't know if Paradox is a character that was in Loki, or if he was, a new character to be in this movie. But it was kind of funny to have Mr. Darcy be the bad guy. But, I don't know. Here's a big thing for me. And first thing you have to know about me, I absolutely love action-adventure movies, my number one favorite genre and everything, but I felt in some of these fighting scenes, especially with Deadpool and Wolverine, it felt like it's just there to be there versus justified fighting. Like, yeah, you had some humor, it was funny after they were in the car, just fighting into the night, and then, Wolverine's asleep and Deadpool's, all the seatbelts are wrapped around him. It was very amusing, but it was something where it's kind of like, it's kind of like almost one of those, your two toys and you're just banging them together. It didn't feel really like, oh, they have to fight. I just didn't feel that sort of motivation, that pull. I just didn't feel the justification. It just didn't work for me. Like, it's perfectly fine to have some fighting. I love fighting, but there was something about it. It just was not really hitting for me. And I think that's kind of the thing. I'm sure some of the opinions I'm saying, someone else would be like, oh, no. Because it worked for them and they loved it. And that's perfectly awesome and fine. And I really wish I was more on that side versus how I ended up feeling. It wasn't, really working for me. It is a movie that, I'm very much happy that plenty of people enjoyed. And again, it's not a movie that I was frustrated to be in the theater for. It's just a movie that, it wasn't some great, awesome, fantastic movie like it was for plenty of other people. It's kind of like, okay, this did not match my expectations, and some things I liked, but a lot of things I didn't. And yeah, when the movie ended, when the post-credit scene ended, I just turned to my dad and I shook my head. And it's like, yeah, it was not the movie for me. But again, I say, if you guys really enjoyed it, that's awesome for you. And if you felt more like me, please let me know. I definitely want to hear someone else's thoughts on, certain aspects of the movie. Oh, another thing. It was kind of wild with Sabretooth that it's like, yeah, he's back and they're going to have a whole showdown. Like, it would have been cool to not have known that he was going to be there, because the only thing that was different from what we saw in that promo, in that trailer, versus what happened in the movie is instantaneously, boom, head's chopped off, now he's dead. Like, that was kind of it. It's like, oh, okay, we didn't really need that, but okay. It wasn't really a fight, right? And I don't know, like I said, never read the comics. I don't know, the power balance, like, are Sabretooth and Wolverine evenly matched? Is Wolverine just better? Like, I don't know. Obviously, like I said, I did watch all the X-Men movies, so I watched X-Men Origins Wolverine, and Sabretooth, really beat up Wolverine a lot, but maybe that's more for the sake of that movie, and I know a lot of people said, not accurate to the comics at all, and it's a really bad movie. I watched it when I was, much younger, and I remember enjoying it, but I know a lot of people are like, ooh, hate that movie, so. But all in all, it is a movie that exists, and I'm just glad that I was able to finally get this video out. It's like, it took me almost 2 weeks to finally get this thing going. And besides what I said about kind of like stress and, just busy and other sorts of things going down, it's also, I really didn't want to be like Jack Sparrow and all the people chasing after, because, some of the fandom can get a little bit crazy, and I just didn't want that kind of energy. One thing that was nice too was after I had seen the movie, I had gone to the mall, and they actually had this poster. So now I have a nice Deadpool and Wolverine poster. I can go ahead and share the picture here. And I'm still debating on where I want to put the poster, because I have a Stranger Things poster. I'm considering taking that one down, or my Shazam poster that I got from the theater when I worked for it. Because if I put it where the Shazam poster is, it's right where my Avengers Assemble poster is. And it'd be kind of funny to be like, yeah, it's right there. You could have had it, Deadpool, but not quite. That's another thing too. I know that there are plenty of people who are kind of like, oh, you know, I have these complaints with the plot holes here, but, you know, it gave me what I wanted for the movie, so I'm happy with it. It's just a little one of those, you're telling me no one in, you know, the studio was like, hey, maybe we should address this because anyone could have a complaint about that. It's just a little one of those, you know, it could have addressed the plot holes a little bit better. I would have been perfectly fine, especially with the fact that Deadpool's supposed to be a fourth wall breaker. The fact that he really could have been like, yeah, this doesn't make sense that the time travel would make me jump to the sacred timeline and everything versus what makes me jump from universe to universe with this thing from the TVA. But don't worry about that because I'm in the MCU now, so just, you know, forget all that, never mind. Like, that would be fine. Just make it make sense, you know? Like, just have a little bit of justification. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, comment below, and if you liked this video and would like to see more movie content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time!